Today is May 28th, 2023. Today at Trinity Gospel, some guys were off in the corner and they were saying, well, they already admitted to drugging her and telling her to say it before. We listened to her talk to that guy last night, and they could have photoshopped it. Okay? A guy with the earbud come in, and he was talking to someone. He said, we found out they tortured her. Okay? I go in and we sit down, and a guy with longer black hair, looked like regular work clothes that I had of me with tattoos. He kept turning back and looking at me, turning back and looking at me. And I thought, you better not say anything, because it's not going to be good. He didn't say a word. He just kept looking back and looking at me. Okay? We go back home, and I go back in the staff room where I can still keep an eye on my client, and where he can't hear me. And I sit there and I mumble testimonies. And I'm going to do the testimony again. And these people need to realize how vile animals these are that did it to me. Alright. Now, I had already almost been shot in the head driving. People were breaking in, stabbing me with needles. This is in protected custody. Okay? Lying in Walmart in front of investigators. They had sodium pentothal reports, and they were drugging me and telling me all kinds of crazy stuff in front of them. 18. Okay? And on 12/21/18, I had went to the refrigerator. Alex, retired Judge Pete's son, the white hair guy with his hair parted on the side, he took credit for it in January 19, and Bob Evans said it was him. I was stabbed in the neck of the refrigerator, foggy, hazy, dark, bright light. Felt myself cry. And I woke up 6 hours later in bed. I still have a dent in my head. And there's a man's comb, it's white on Dave's dresser, and I have bruises everywhere. And he's like, you had an affair. I don't know what happened. My head's pounding, and he's yelling at me. Okay. The first week of January 19, and Bob Evans, Alec takes credit for it, that he left his comb on Dave's dresser. Here, they had stabbed me in the neck, bashed me in the back of the skull, knocked me out, and beat and raped me and left me for dead. When he cleaned up, he left his comb on Dave's dresser. Okay. Right before Christmas 18, I was too sick. I'm losing 5 to 7 pounds a week from being drugged up so bad up there. I had marks all over me. Couldn't even keep slack down at times. I'm too sick to go to Walmart, and the kids are going to be coming for Christmas, and Dave's going to go buy treats, and he finally leaves, and we're video chatting. All of a sudden, his phone starts clicking in like somebody's calling in, and I live 10.6 miles out of town in the country, and then in the middle of the woods. We didn't even have street lights. There's not a house across the road, and I lived in the middle of giant woods. It's the blackest night you've ever seen. At times, it's like black soup out there. You literally can't see 5 feet in front of you. It's that bad. I'm looking out when I heard gunfire. As soon as his phone started clicking in, I heard gunfire. The house after ours on John Thomas was a duplex. There was an old lady on one side and a group of men on the other. They had a copy of my phone before I called the FBI. Were outside mocking me. Okay? And the old lady's light was always on even when she was in the hospital. Dave had said something crazy, and I looked away and I looked back, and I see a light explosion. Poof, a gun discharge. Pow! And I'm like, Dave, I heard gunfire. That lady's light went off. I need to call the police. Don't you get off this phone. I look out front. He's rambling crazy stuff. I look out front, the green laser light crosses the middle of my eyes. I duck. I look up back. There's lights crossing. They're right outside. And it's him. And they're right outside. I'm like, I need to call the police. I heard gunfire. Don't you get off this phone. I took him off video chatting. Let him ramble anything in the world. Loaded a 9mm gun, several clips. Looked back out front, the green laser light crossed my eyes, and I ducked. I got up and I looked out, and he's still rambling. I looked out, the back windows, lights are crossing. Where to hide? If I hang up the phone, they'll break in, they're right outside. If I'll get in my car, take off, they'll shoot me, they're out front. If I run to the male nurse's house, the house before mine, they'll shoot me. Where to hide? I'm walking around the living room, and I thought of my brother-in-law that was CIA, did spyware for monitors and monitor. The government sees you through the TV. 80s. We didn't call TVs monitors, but he did. I turned on the TV, and I positioned myself between the two doors, with a 9 between my knees and several clips sitting beside me. And as Dave is rambling, the second set of gunfire goes off. And I'm covering my ears. Rivers of tears are coming down my face. And I throw that phone, and I begin to pray for anyone in trouble and for myself. And as I prayed, moonlight broke through like God heard me. But it was Dave pulling in, and he made a mistake, and a big one, like they said. He met outside a legally bugged house, and the house got him. You went to the wrong house. We know. She's nothing but target practice. She's up to something. We've seen her through a monitor. That figures. Next time we'll come up and kill her. We'll take care of it once and for all. We shot a man that was sleeping, where it took us several minutes to find him, where we finished him off in the back room. We knew he liked her and wanted to meet her when this was over. And we shot a man in the head that was running. We were going to say a neighbor did it by mistake. And I'm paralyzed on the floor with fear. I finally crawl into bed. Don't think. Nobody showed up. Don't think. Come daylight, we get into a big fight. I hit the wall and I'm running through the backwoods. Out of the male nurse's house. He had said he had a young son. A man, white, with black hair and a long black beard, run out to grab me. Dave's running after me. You had an affair. I turn around. I never seen him before in life. He runs back in the house. Dave passes me. I have to check the trail cameras to find out how he made it out in the dark. And he took off running where the lights were crossing when he wasn't home. I picked up a stick and I started swearing. He bragged to Dixie, my daughter-in-law. We had gunfire up here the other night. She's like, gunfire? I lived in the middle of nowhere. He said, and you hit a tree. He's like, gunfire? They went to the wrong house. She's like, wrong house? He got in my face like Satan himself. She's nothing but target practice. Took both our breath away. Okay? Now the men that watched me, as they broke through the doors, they scattered. One ran by the house to grab me. As he ran by the house to grab me, they chased him through the backwoods, lights crossing, shooting at him till I made it to the neighbor's house, where he called the police and sirens in the distance. Okay? All right. One of my guys showed up. Half his face was purple. swollen and a gash on the other side. He looked at me and left. Another one of my guys said that he almost froze to death hiding in the woods from him at night in December. Okay. Come May, an Asian lady had showed up here in Louisville, Musker's Park, said her husband died. Her children said that they didn't have a father. I went out and bought a prepaid phone. I did video statements of Dave bragging to Dixie that he had people up there to shoot me. Okay? And of Terry of the attempted kidnapping, put it all together. Put it in a box, and I went down to Seth Arcos, my attorney. The bad trucks are swarming his office, and I can see him. I go in, and it's like, Seth, I'll pay you to deliver this. What's in that package? I said, I can't say. He said, Karen, I don't deliver those kind of packages. I'm not a moose. And I can see the trucks. And I'm thinking, dear God, they'll kill him too. He's like, does it have something to do with your husband? I'm like, maybe. And he said, as far as I know, and he nailed it. I'm like, Seth, you have a good day. And I left, and I thought, how to get it to him. Between July and September 19th, the fake agent, the white man, shaved head, 5'10" to 6 foot tall, 180, 200 pounds, dark eyes, drove the dark gray truck, has tattoos, had told everybody he was FBI. He was down the street and he was yelling with a lady. Lady was yelling at him, you can't beat a single woman by herself. We can't have her stay. What happened up there? I woke up to arms above my head, smothered with a pillow, punched in my private area, punched up inside. 4th time I came up for air, I passed out. Sit her up. As I'm barely coming to, they pour stuff in my mouth and my arms go straight down. Say this, no, say this, no, and they're beating me, smothering me and raping me. Till I finally say whatever they want and I pass out. I woke up a little bit later. If she thinks Dave puckered her butt, wait till I'm done with her. And I'm still paralyzed from the drugs. And as they're butt raping me and taking turns and beating me, I passed back out. I woke up. My private area was 3 times swollen. I had bruises up and down my arms. I had a welt around my face and bruises that I couldn't cover with makeup. I had post-traumatic syndrome off the chart from that place, and I went into shock. I got up and I got in the shower and I cried. And I got up and I looked at my bed and I thought, I gotta wash it, they raped me. I go down there and they have women ready to make fun of me for being raped. It took me a couple weeks to be able to go to church. I was walking around the mall for church trying to blow a steam, trying to distress, and I see that idiot. I leave. He follows me to Faith Family Church. There's over 1,000 people in that giant sanctuary. He comes in, I had to arrest that whore. Call me whore. Young usher with black hair and glasses. Won't have it. What you did was considered rape. You leave her alone. They scream about Dave and everything else. People 10 aisles, front and back, are looking at me and him. And I finally run out of the church crying. I worked at Berry Cheese between July and September 19 also. 4 women in the main room. 2 turn around. He said, if you open your mouth again, he'll do it to you again. I was warned to stay quiet. Asian lady kept showing up, and her children saying they didn't have a father. It took me about a year. By October or November of 20, I go up to Ravenna Courthouse. Across the street in the bar, the guys eat lunch there that help watch me. I've seen them walk around, okay? I go up there and I purposely call my sister. Start going through from where the money disappeared to da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And when I got off the phone with her, I said, I need to go in and report this. Okay? 2 of the guys walk out, they look me in the face. Where's that idiot over the house? I go in, and the nice Ravenna officer, he has gray hair and a mustache and dandruff. Usually he says, hi, sweetie. And if I say something on my vehicle, he'll say, we'll have the boys look into it. This time he looks panicked. I looked at him and I said, may I speak to Judge Timothy Ludick? And I go up there and he is in court, and I go to leave. He said, I can't let you leave. I said, I gotta go. I started to cry by then. He's like, you don't understand. I can't let you leave. I said, I gotta go. He's like, I can't let you leave. You have to talk to Abigail. I'll get some lady officers. We go down at the Portage County Prosecutor's Office. And Abigail comes out, and there's lady officers. And the first thing I say to her, FBI don't use sodium pentothal. I know. Nobody does. I know. Nobody drugs anybody. I know. A man walks up with a tiny file. I'm here for carrying around the house. Walks off with the lady officers. I finished talking to Abigail. She's like, I want you to go make a report at the Portage County Sheriff's. Lady officer walks me out. You run around, you tell everyone you know. You hold the FBI accountable. People have got away with way too much. You go tell the Portage County Sheriff's. Next day, I went up and I met with Officer Bacon. That man dare get smart with me. I looked at him and I said, do you think this is funny? Do you think this is funny? Do you think this is funny? No. And I start pulling evidence out of my phone. He's like, this is above my level. I'll pass it on. And then when I call back, he wouldn't answer it. Okay. Well, they started blaming the Portage County Sheriffs for being in my home before. And they were the ones doing it to me. So I went up there to confront them. An officer met with me. Miss Hall, I know you don't think that Officer Bacon did anything. And he went into the Portage County Chief of Police and he told everybody to stay out of this. He can't do that. Okay, so, and he said, none of our officers were in your home before. We weren't in your home or anybody else's home. Nor did we have knowledge of anybody being in your home before. He said that would be illegal. I said it's the 4th Amendment. Police and agencies can only be in a home under a threat of life statements. Yes. I said that or you can't look or listen. Yes. And what these people are saying they did is illegal. I started telling him about the men on the other side of the duplex having a copy of my phone for called FBI. Lady sheriff's behind the door. None of this is funny. Someone needs to look into this. Started telling him about how they kicked in my door and the button cameras are supposed to have a shower scene. And they're like, none of this is funny. And I had bruises, and they were lying. They had sodium pentothal reports. And da-da-da-da-da. Okay? I got tortured trying to get somebody out. That retired Judge Pete has been impersonating an FBI agent, telling everybody his will from the Canton FBI, and Will retired in 19. And Will's a nickname. He left the case open. But he opened a real case with statements supposed to have money and with immunity for even when you tell. See, I tried to tell that agent that there was someone up at that church telling him. He called me a liar. Why did he call me a liar? Dave confessed on April 15, 16 of 23. Danny called him where I've been trying to tell him about some stalker stalking me. And that Eric confessing on November 18, 22, Walmart 62, 2 to 6 p.m. by the hair salon that all the tapes before were him and not me. It was done for a stunt for everyone to turn on me. And that they were supposed to Photoshop the shower scene and date rape, drug me where I was sick, and everybody knew I was having bruises and throwing up and almost passing out. That was what was wrong with me. They were getting in and getting to me. Well, Danny finally calls Dave on April 15, 16, 23. He said he didn't know why that man confessed because he drugged him up and told him to say it. They framed that poor man. That he had hired some guy named Pete on his own. And it was only Pete up there taping me unaware. And he was the only one doing all those things to me. Pete had it set up she can't get no money. Pete doesn't have anything admissible. It's the Fourth Amendment. That he said Dad even said that there was an agent up at that church. And he was asking about the threats on her life. And he even spoke to him and said he was the only agent from the agency looking into it on his own. So why didn't that agent just ask for the church and verify it? Huh? Because that's his job. An officer verified it November 6, 22 at Trinity Gospel. They said they were talking about the case, find the protective custody order. And that told a bunch of men to stay out of it. None of this is funny. And the guy said, well, the agent that called her back, it was verified by an officer. He's the one that told on her the night before she called back. Oh, my Lord, and they walk out. Okay? Some of my clients' neighbors in Akron, they looked at me and said, we even went over to that church, and those church people said they all seen that agent was up there asking them. Okay? So when I tried to tell them what happened to Huntington Bank, where the guy threatened to knife me, do you know if there's a camera above the bench? I don't know if there's not a camera above that bench where he came up behind you. I'll put you in jail. No, was there a camera above that bench or not? I don't know. You don't know, I'll put you in jail. You better say you're lying or I'll arrest you. It's like, fine, whatever. Perjury laws. Obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, and tampering with witnesses is exactly what he did. Made me plead for my life. Listed me an informant. $5,000 a month. For you have a life of peace as an informant. Nothing legally stated dated against you again. For work in this case, and only for you would we ever do this for. We'll always put it back to the traffic ticket, even when you tell. You can't be legally charged for anything again for work in this case. I opened an account with $5,000 a month. It'll start building today, and you'll have it from now on when you move out. And he said, but if you tell someone, blah, 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 and he threatened me again. I already told him Dave and the church people knew. Okay? So whose fault is it that he didn't find out about Dave having a stalker stalk me, drug me, beat me, and rape me? His. Because if he knew about the tapes before of where they were drugging me, photoshopping me, he knew Dave knew I called the FBI. See what I mean? Otherwise, it's his fault for not finding out. The last week I was up in Akron, one of the officers were up there telling him, don't say a word to her. It's people saying stuff. He's like, yeah, da-da-da-da. He said, all that was Photoshop. He said, do you think that agent looked at their tapes before and fell for it? He said, well, he knew better not to. He said, and then he didn't even verify they were all photoshopped. And we did. Everything was photoshopped on her. See, there's federal laws being broke left and right. And the next day, a white officer with white hair showed up at Walmart 62. I just got back from asking Dave about the threats on her life. He was the main officer over at Lamar Sharpamar, Michael Broswell, Michael's at CSC Bank, the Canton officers. 19 and 20 seen him. Other people in the bank seen him. They said Karen has her own security here. I wonder what's going on. North Canton Jackson police seen him in Liberty House Share June of 19. They told them the worst thing you ever did wrong, honey, is bend over and properly. We can wipe that one out. They verified they only made fun of the back of my knees. And they found this old man saying that he had drugged me up and told me wrong nightgown and butt lie in front of him the first month. And they verified I didn't own that nightgown, and they only made fun of the back of my knees once. He didn't know what he was saying, and I had a bruise, and he was breaking in front of the investigators. He had drugged me and told me to say it. Like they said, they found out some old ass was drugging up Karen before. Well, they also found out Dave was hiring a stalker to Photoshop me, date rape, drug me, and so they could get away with this. That agent, I told you I didn't believe it was real. When I heard Dave threatening Dixie and the baby's life, I Googled where he was at, and I found him. And they yelled, he's got a list. I'm working on it. And then when I seen the guy down the street and he took off through the side woods, I called down there. You tell those police up there to get a hold of it. We're busy. They were too arrogant and too busy looking into it, and the serial killers down the way. You know that was the Detroit boys, this kidnapper. There's a good chance if they pull Dave's phone on September 21st, 18, because he had a phone call to make, he may have called the bastard. Or the Pizza Hut lady did. Somebody called him, because I can't believe she's here. And I told you. You'll find Dave working with the Detroit boys and the Kingsmen. And the human traffickers. And the drug traders. And if you pull the house after John Thomas where we lived, the other side, the duplex, those men had a copy of my phone. Were outside mocking me. What's he saw? It's a child's book, dumbass. See, I think they're drug traders. That's called wiretapping. But yeah, that retired judge has been running around pretending to be a federal agent for about 4 years. Everybody needs to turn him in.